Welcome to Business Technicalities. I'm joined by Sean, who I think is at a cigar bar. Is that
Yes,
okay?
that is actually. Let me show you with this beautiful. Look at all that,
Look at all that.
right? And I'm only here because I was driving around doing last minute preparations for IT Nation Secure next week. I was getting some stuff, and I haven't had much time this week because obviously this week is always the busiest week. The week prior is always just ridiculously busy. So,
Yes.
and here comes Nikki just walking right into the video.
Hey.
Hi.
Oh. Hey.
Yeah, we're recording this.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
sorry. Thought to say hi.
Yeah. Well, hi. So, see that, and that's what you can expect, right?
Exactly. And the reason we title this Why Go to Tech Conferences is I will be at IT Nation Secure 2022. I will also be at IT Nation, the what's the other one called?
Uh,
Connect?
yes, Connect. That will be in November. IT
Yeah, it'll be
Nation
in
Connect.
November. Sean will be there too. So, we're going to talk about why me as an MSP goes and what Sean's wandering around there doing too. So,
It'll be wondering, yes, wondering where to go next. No, yeah, I just thought it'd be a good idea to talk about this with you because um, in all the years that I've been doing these things with MSPs, it's a classic issue where people don't know where to go or what to do. So and how to take the most advantage of it. And you, since your other even with your other YouTube channel, you're always investigating and you're
yes.
always learning. So I think you'd be a valuable asset for people if you told them how you would attack, like your plan of attack for this.
Right. And let me mention something here. Not my first time I've gone to a conference. This is just a few because I have more that I lost a bunch of them due to some incident that occurred. Anyways, these are a handful of badges. And if you look, yes, the word presenter is on ones, including presenters on that one that's a Microsoft Ignite badge. Because, yes, I've been on the stage at Microsoft. So I go to them both as a person looking to learn about product, learn about what's going on, meet with my peers, but sometimes the person who's up on a stage. I'm not a vendor though. Just for a distinction here, I'm not selling a product. I just do talking about the things I talk about related to tech and sometimes interview people for media creation. So I've always gone as someone there to learn and occasionally share some knowledge, but never as someone to sell. That being said, I am looking for more insight to sit with the people, and the booths are cool. That's one part of it is you get to walk around. The vendors have their booths and everything else, and they're trying to get your attention, and they got some swag or some stress balls to grab that you're like, oh, I want the swag, and you're like, not till we get your name and contact information. I get it. You don't, and I can assure you that once the conference is over, with as soon as they figure you're back to your office, the calls will begin and the emails and whatnot. But that's fine. That's just part of something you accept on there. But meeting people in person, as much as I'm an online person, and the best way to scale me sharing knowledge is not always being at conferences, but sharing it on YouTube. I still go to these type of events to gain a lot of insight into things. You get a different perspective, and maybe you think a little bit differently because you're not just one-on-one with a vendor. You becomes kind of a group of people. You usually find a few people to hang out with, and then you go together wandering around to these vendor booths, and you kind of get this, maybe your company is similar or slightly different than another peer you meet there. Generally, they're going to be a lot different. And you can kind of tag team and ask these questions together and have that bigger conversation that goes on. And that's where the real knowledge for me I gain out of there is the larger insight you get. Matter of fact, when me and Sean were just at the event in Chicago a few weeks ago, it's hanging out later with all the people, just kind of talking to people. There was like that debrief. We did the vendor thing, but then later those same vendors were just kind of hanging out and we talked to them, and you can get a lot of insight and just better understanding of all the opportunities there are out there.
I would agree. Actually, we just had our they in economics they call KBUG, and I mean it's an acronym for Know Before You Go. And one of the slides that they showed us to present to prepare us for this event, which stood out was the four reasons why people come to these conferences. The top two were really about business practices, learning better, learning from others, getting understanding what's going on, and then the solution pavilion was number two. So back to your point, yeah, you love the pavilion, you like to go see the booths and see what's up and coming or what's existing or see people that you know that. But really, it comes down to everybody's trying to do an alignment with their company, right? With we talk about stack alignment, everybody does all the time, right? But stack alignment comes in a couple of forms. One being product, the other being service to support, whatever, or just process you do internally, where to learn from people and how to work on things in general and improve your business. So that's a big deal. And again, I always think of the MSPs I've met that have said, "Oh, I go to conferences and I buy like 5 different things while I'm there, and I'm not really ready for it, and I end up using one of them, and I purchased all 5." And one of the big things that we like, one of the things I focus on, which we brought up in a couple of these videos we've done, is the modes theory, right? And you're doing the assessments. You have to give me your feet.
Yeah,
You'll have to tell me. We'll have to
yeah.
do a video on modes assessment, yours, at some point. So you got to make sure you take it. But the mode assessment is about looking through the lens of where you are as a business owner, as a business, what you're ready for to prepare yourself. So it's a big deal. It's a great chance for you to learn how to do this in
And
the
we'll
proper
make
way.
sure we leave links to all these things so you can take these assessments well, and we'll leave links to all the things we mentioned. I'm just gonna mention now in the beginning of the video that they'll all be in the description down below.
Yeah, because we stink at doing that. We always read to say it, and then they're in there and they're like, "What's that for?" But
Yeah.
yeah, no. So okay, so with you, um, we have the IT Nation Secure app, and I know you're a big fan of organization, so you can make the most of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
that was
like conferences that are organized, and it's I'm a foot in both worlds because I also like different hacking conferences, and the smaller ones are never quite as organized. Don't get me wrong; they're loads of fun, but whenever any of the tech conferences or Linux conferences I go to, yeah, I always appreciate an organized conference. That's the nice thing about like the IT Nation Secure one we're going to. They've got it all put together. I've gone previously not to Secure, but to the other IT Nation events, and matter of fact, I'm friends with, as anyone who follows my main channel knows, the team over at Huntress. I actually spent about half an hour or so pitching in their booth just to get customers because it was fun and I like doing that. So I
that's
just kind of worked their
awesome.
booth for a little while, so that may happen where, because I know some of the vendors and we're good friends with them that may be there. So
I love that, and that's good. Okay, so let's talk about something like that, right? You're friends with the Huntress people. You're friends with many people. Let's be honest.
yeah.
Um, and we have a lot of mutual friends and a lot of friends we don't have. But how many people? Let's use Chicago. Back to everybody's there to talk about their entrepreneurial journey, and what they're trying to accomplish and what their legacy looks like and stuff. And so back to the evening after, when you walk up to a booth, of course you're there to learn about whatever that company does, what the product does. So that's the conversation you're going to have. But what's the next step after that? Like what is your game plan? I know when we talk to people at the bar at night, people were sharing ideas and concepts, and a lot of partners, MSPs that were sitting there talking, they would tell me, "This is how I use ConnectWise. They're awesome. We love them. But then this is how I use these other products too. This is how we do these things." So, back to the journey, and I always ask, "Hey, how did you get into business? How did you get into this business?" And they start telling me, again, back to the classic line, I fell into it and I picked up I worked as an IT director and I found some clients that needed some fixes and I fixed them. And then all of a sudden here I am 15 years later, what's that journey really look like? I'm always curious. Right. But that's
Yeah.
for another video, of course.
Well, yeah, but it's fun because once you start learning, a lot of those have that same path of being geeks that now have businesses. We realize the guard comes down like, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing either." So
Right. Well, yeah, that's how many times is it you're everybody's everybody's seeking that true north, of
yeah,
how to do things, or how the hell do we get here? What did we do to get here? What do we do to get further? What does that even look like? And that's a big part of the conversation, mostly always, as far as I've ever noticed.
yeah, and it's one of the reasons I spend time seeking out these conversations because we ended up, and Brett went with me too. Brett does a lot of my sales and business development, and Brett really enlightened a few other MSPs of the way we do co-manage, which apparently we did a little bit different, or at least different than the way they did. So it became a good exchange of information because it started out with, "I don't think you're doing it right," to, "Oh, I see how your method works. And that's actually kind of clever the way you do it." So there's just that kind of conversation um, furthers the reason you're there more than anything else. I met more people. Matter of fact, it's funny. I was already friends with a few of the people I met on LinkedIn, but we never engaged or really talked much afterwards, including one of the vendors, which I don't know if I have a slight a solid use case for their product, but boy, I personally like the person. So we have now had several conversations and become closer friends. Even I joke, I don't know if I'm going to buy your product, but it's great talking to the person. We've actually bounced a lot of ideas off each other. So that's
Yeah, you know what?
there's
Yeah,
different
but
friendship. Turns out some salespeople aren't just friendly. There is actual friendships you may have that come out of it as well.
I mean, how important is it? And this that's actually a great life lesson. MSP should adopt this as well. When they, the salespeople that are in the booth are there to sell first. I mean, you walk up to the booth knowing you're getting a pitch, basically, right? It doesn't have to be just a pitch, though. It can be, hey, how are you? What's been going on? What's new? Whatever. But MSP should be doing the same thing with their prospects too. Building relationship building is by far one of the most important things you can do to establish business and long-term business at that.
It also helps a lot when you start realizing that people and refer back to Nigel and our Tech Tribe talk that is on the channel. Uh, you just don't think of it in a competitive way at that point. Matter of fact, there's more often than not maybe a specialized skill you have. I've just been talking to a few MSPs that don't do G Suite. And, as you get these more personal connections, they know you, they're like, oh, I can just farm that work out to you. You seem like a nice person. And yeah, we're not interested in taking a client. We'll do that project that you need help with because you don't have an expertise in that specific area. We can help with that. You maintain the client, we get some extra work and whatnot. And the true can be the opposite, where we may farm out certain aspects of work or pass along the client. So that's why it really go is just building all of that extra, which is really cool.
I would agree. So what is going to be your plan? How are you going to make the most out of this show?
It's really gonna be go in there. I've already got picked out different uh, products that I really wanna dive deeper. One of them we're already using, so it's not like they really need to sell me on it, but I like to see the perspective on there. I wanna look at some of the different tooling options. Can each time I have it in the back of my head, this is the way we do it. I already know that information. I'm gonna look at the other opportunities. So I've looked at the way maybe the Connect Device Automate system works. It's not something we use, but something I'm curious about. Like, what am I missing? You don't know what you're missing until you go through and spend a little bit of time going through these demos, having someone who's extremely knowledgeable about the product and does their job is to present the product. You can have a better conversation. So you can go, oh, I get how it works, is hopefully what I say at the end of that conversation.
I love that. So, and then coming back to it, being back to your organization requirements, again, for those of you that are going, or anybody that's going to a conference in general, the smaller ones don't always have it, but there are apps for these, and you should go on there. I've made it a career of organizing myself in the app because you can actually register yourself on the app and give yourself notifications for everything you want to go to. So look at the full agenda. Now, everybody loves the networking parties because they're always like, I can secure we're going to be going to the Mario Andretti indoor go-kart track, which is awesome. But I've been there before; it's phenomenal. But that's one piece of this. You're there to learn how to push your business to the next level, whatever that requires. So make sure you're looking at the sessions. Make sure you look at where the booths you want to go to. Make sure you register on your app for where you're going to go, when you're going to go there, and go to it. And actually, and one thing I would say is a lot of these speakers, me included, when I'm speaking, I hope people engage and ask questions so that I
Yes.
can answer those questions because I don't want you to sit there and in perpetual ignorance and confusion because I said a word that maybe doesn't make sense to you or something. You're just thinking about it, you're like, what is that word? Again, ask like and ask for clarification. I want it. I want to be able to. I always ask for clarification. I want you to ask for it so I can actually give it to you.
Yeah, I'm not afraid. So it's not like high school, I didn't I hid in the back in high school. I won't lie. I didn't want the teacher to call on me, but I do like to sit up front. I like to engage with the speakers, ask the questions. It's I think a really important part of it. And don't be afraid to stand up and ask a question because usually you'll find that three other people go, man, I'm glad he asked that question because I thought I was the one who didn't understand that. There's always the fear of being the fool, but I've gotten over it over the years. I've realized when people stand up, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one who was thinking that. And sometimes it's good to be that person who stands up and asks what that acronym means that I thought I should know. Cause man, we got some acronym soup going on in MSP world. So
Oh my lord, you're telling me, man. It's and this is a cybersecurity conference. There's even more new, acronyms going on, and
yep.
it's I feel like I'm back in the military sometimes. I'm like,
Yeah.
and because acronyms are everywhere in the military. The only difference is I don't even know what all these are now because there's just new ones coming up, especially since COVID and the digital transformation that occurred. There's so many new technologies, so many business practices, so many new offerings, so many everything, and it is insane. It's impossible to keep up with almost. So educate yourself. Look it
Yeah.
up. Bring your Google Translator.
Or stand up and ask a question.
Make them the Google Translator.
Make them the
Um,
Google Translator.
yeah, exactly. And then also like even for this event, we're involved. You and I are engaged in multiple groups, external of just ConnectWise, but part of the whole community at large. And for one, we'll be at CompTIA's ISAL meetup on Monday night.
Yep,
CompTIA is phenomenal to be part of.
and we are
They
CompTIA ISAL members.
it, right, and ConnectWise is a big contributor to this as well, part of the whole discussion. So it's a big piece for us. It's a big piece for everybody going into this. And probably one of the biggest drivers of that was exactly this digital transformation was the biggest driver to really for people to buy in full force, because it was not like this wasn't going away. The remote workforce is here, we know it, and people were like, how do I really protect all these people in all these different networks, all these different places? And so I encourage anybody that's around to come meet us for this. It's Monday night. Um, you can look it up. It's on the app.
It's on the app, it's
Uh,
on the agenda.
and look
Is
for
the
us.
Tech
We'll
Tribe
be there.
lunch on there yet?
Yes, Tech Tribe Lunch. That's my next thing. I was about to
Alright.
look at you. Yes, Tech Tribe Lunch. For those of you that are members of Tech Tribe, which you and I both are, please, it'll be at the Destin Room on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. But even if you're not a member, they're always looking for more people. The one thing is we all succeed together in this, and the more heads we apply to this, the better it is. So anybody that's around that are members, please come say hello and meet up. Anybody that's not members, come anyway. The more
Yeah.
the merrier.
Yeah, if you're curious what the Tech Tribe's all about, and like I said, we had that video we did with Nigel on it, but there's a series of groups that meet, and it's kind of cool. It's some in-person stuff, so I'll get to meet. I don't think besides Sean, I've met really any other of the Tech Tribe people in person, or at least I've not been to a Tech Tribe event. Unfortunately, I'm here in Detroit, and in Detroit, we don't seem to have many tech things going on. So
Well, I've met a handful of them just because I've been at the conferences for so many years. It was inevitable, but I don't even know who's all in there. Sometimes I see names pop up. I'm like, oh man, I know that guy. We met at whatever conference 3 years ago, and I just didn't realize it. But yeah, please, I want everybody should stop by because the Tech Tribe they're a phenomenal group, and
yeah,
Nigel and team do a great job. And again, back to learning, back to figuring out where you're going with your company, back to the more help the merrier.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I agree. Yeah, and so
absolutely. That's all I gotta say to that one. Just
that's all. I
absolutely
don't
go
know
do
what to
it.
say about that. I can't. I don't make any money off of this, just so we're clear.
Yeah,
But so and then the other things again, back to networking, back to productive meetings, back to everything. There's a lot of really good what I did wrong in my early days of conferences is I didn't know who I should be watching, who I should be paying attention to. I learned more as I went on, back to being organized. And now I figured out when I want to go, who do I want to see? And I actually research people that are actually speaking at certain things. And if it's something that really falls into play with where I'm going with my career, I will go watch it and I will find them afterwards and I will talk to them.
you can Google everybody. It's so much easier. Find them
That
on
is
LinkedIn. You may even be
ab-
able to find a video of them talking and see if they're compelling, effective, and engaging, and that you would like to be in front of them, listening to what they have to say. So yes, I've done that as well. I was actually commenting to Sean about some of the people that are speaking. They're people that
mhm.
I know. I've not met them in person, but I know they're compelling, effective, engaging. So I want to be in that room with them. So
I would agree. So, I mean, I'll give you an example. I'll do a shameless plug for mine. I have a fireside chat. I have a fireside chat on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern around that time. And it's with Jay Ryerson and Keith Nelson, and it's about a cyber necessary. And these are two guys. If I think most people in the cyberspace know Jay, he's been around for quite some time. But one of the things we're going to be discussing is, and this is the old fight of, the chicken or the egg, which came first. And what you hear people say is, yeah, you need the right tools in place to have security. And then you always hear the people say, well, it doesn't matter what tools when you have people, when you have users that are involved, because you can't perfect the users. They're the ones that typically cause the problem. So does it come down to tools or procedures and processes,
yeah,
and training? And again, I don't know if there's a right answer, but those guys are duking it out. I'm just, I'm basically there to be the
comic
Richard
relief and a
Steele.
moderator.
Yeah, I'm the Richard Steele. I'm going to mediate this and and poke the bear on both sides. And But yeah, no, again, and we're talking about 2 guys that are they've been in this space for a long time and know
Yep.
their stuff. So I highly recommend you come by and see that.
Yeah. So this hopefully sums up why you should go to these conferences. They are absolutely something myself. It's where I gain a lot of the knowledge. It gets you in front of a lot of people. It gets you interacting with a lot of people again. And this is, I missed it for a few years during the lockdown. It was rough, and things are, coming back around the other way. We got the conferences in person again, and I want to get that badge collection back up. I just missed a couple of badges that are missing. So I was thinking
I
about that today. I lost some of my hacker badges that were there from,
oh,
they just
man.
yeah, they got
If
lost
I'd
in several moves.
if I would've kept my stuff, my badges, I woulda had to have, another room
Yeah, they
for
just
just the badges.
I got this thing I'm building where they hang all on the poles that hold my studio together. That's what I wrap them around, each one of them.
That's
So,
awesome. That's awesome. I would need to yeah, well, you build a whole new room to hang
yeah,
those. That's what I have to do, and that's not I can't do it. I can't do it,
it's a lot.
you know? It's a lot. It would be a lot, dude.
Well,
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to us all hanging out. We're all
absolutely.
gonna be there. I mean, seriously, think about and I hope people do take us up on the offer of coming to see us,
Yeah.
uh,
And we'll be
because
at
we're
more
gonna
events. Like I said, by the time this video is published, it may be a little late to book your flight down to IT Nation Secure unless you happen to already be down there. But we will be at the other IT Nation, the IT Nation Connect. That's going to be
yes,
in
that's in
November.
November.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
November. And there'll be other conferences in between. Ping me on Twitter, hit me up, and or even Sean. He goes to lots of events, and easy enough to
well,
find us. Our LinkedIn bios and everything are linked down below in the description. So we're easy to get
I
a
think
hold of.
I think probably would be a good idea too for everybody. Maybe we should post at some point where we're going to be for events.
Yeah,
And then we can and people can always again, people can comment on these videos. So if they're gonna be somewhere, let's coordinate the meetups. I know that now that we're doing the first Tech Tribe meetup here, that we'll probably do many more of those at every event that we can possible to help to foster some good synergy within
yeah,
the communities. So why not
absolutely.
be part of these things with us? It
Yeah.
wouldn't be a bad thing.
Start your learning journey at a
Start,
conference.
start your learning. That is so like picture pages.
All right. Thanks for
Ah,
joining us. We're gonna let Sean get back to, cigars. So,
I'm not even having one right now. I have to like
I
work. I'm trying to prepare. I just only saw Turkey with Wi-Fi and a good
yeah,
environment.
I know before he wanders off to the next location,
I
but
know, right?
thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.